Welcome back. All right, so our flutes are put together and we are ready to place our fingers on the correct keys. I think it's pretty easy compared to other woodwinds, so this won't take you long to memorize. I'm demonstrating, by the way, on an open hold flute, which makes it very obvious where your fingers go, but most people start on a closed hold flute, so if you're looking at yours and it doesn't look exactly like mine, that's probably the only difference. Well, that and maybe the extra foot joint key that I have, but you can edit those out in your mind as you watch. All right, so let's start with our left hand. I want to talk about the thumb first. You actually have two thumb keys here, and you're going to use them both early on, I hope. But this wider, flatter part of the thumb key is a good place to use as your default placement right now. So I'm just going to put my thumb on it. I like to stay kind of close to the crack though, because I know that I will be rolling over to the other part of the thumb key. This is called the B. This is called the B flat part of the thumb key. And I want the option to roll, so I want to make sure that I'm placing my thumb close to that crack between the two so that it will be easy later for me to start using the B flat thumb. And then on the top of the flute, let's take a look at where your other fingers are going to go. So remember, this first key was very important for aligning your head joint, but you're not going to push on that key. It's a little too far from everything else. Instead, you've got this big space here, and your index finger is going to go on that key after the big space, which you'll notice doesn't even have a hole under it. It's really just a lever to help push this one down. So skip the big space, index finger goes here, then you're going to skip the next key, and your middle finger will go on the third key that you see there, or technically the fourth, and your ring finger will go on the next key. And your pinky goes right here on this big kind of an L shape. This is the A flat key. So actually, if you're having a hard time remembering in the beginning how to situate your fingers, you might want to go backwards. Pinky goes on the big hooky thing that's sticking out, the A flat key, and then ring finger is on the next key, middle finger, skip one, and then put your index finger on that lever. And that's where those fingers go. Now we've got our thumb over here on the thumb key, and now we need something to help hold the flute. So we don't want that big space here, but we want to just pivot the fingers slightly so that this index finger is just laying down gently on the tube, if you can see that. It's acting as like a little bit of a shelf to help keep the flute stable. So the fingers are down. And if you want to think of it this way, you go straight on and then just pivot a little bit until that index finger can lay down on the tube. And this is what your left hand should look like. Right hand, I think, is even easier. Let's start with the pinky. So that key that we lined up at the very top of the foot joint, so this is your E flat key, that's your default pinky position. Eventually you'll use these other pinky keys, but probably not right away. So pinky's going to go here, and then no skipping any keys at all, straight up ring finger, middle finger, index finger on the last three keys of the body. So these are all nice and close together. Now your thumb doesn't have a key to play, but it acts as another, again, an important stabilizer. This is going to act as a shelf as well. So if you can see, I'm placing my thumb on the underside of the body in between these two fingers. So I'm making an opposing motion here, kind of like if I pick up a pencil. Doing the same thing with the flute. The point of my thumb on the right hand of the flute is to oppose these fingers and help distribute that weight and hold the flute steady. So my thumb is back a little bit. It's not underneath, it's not like sticking out, but it's back a little bit from the very end of the flute, and it's just holding. Hopefully that's easy enough to see, holding some of the weight of the flute in that hand. And so here's what my hands look like. Now your pinkies should always remain close over their respective keys, even if you're not playing them. You can just keep them a little bit curved to avoid tension or locked joints. I know this feels awkward at first, everything new does, but playing the flute shouldn't bring hand pain. So if you're experiencing that, gently place your flute in your lap or on a flute stand and just shake out that tension gently. You can stretch a little bit and start again. You want to think of balancing the flute in your hands rather than feeling like it's necessary to grip it very tightly. If you're nervous about dropping it as you're starting to play these first few days, just start out by practicing over your bed or some other soft surface, and then you know it's safe if you do drop it. So now a word or two about posture. Flutists tend to stand when they're practicing at home because it's easier to achieve healthy alignment and a little bit easier to really fill up with air. So I'll use that as the standard here. Your shoulders should remain relaxed. Elbows are going to be relaxed also and pointing towards the floor. So your arms end up making two triangles that sort of hang off the flute. You're going to bring the flute all the way up to your face. No need to lurch forward to meet it, so you just keep your spine comfortably aligned like you hopefully always do. And finally, to avoid twisting your torso in a way that makes breathing difficult, you're just going to turn your head slightly to the left, which also helps keep your shoulders loose. And then obviously place your stand accordingly so that you can see your music. All of this can be replicated when you're sitting as well. Okay, are you ready to play your first notes? Head on over to the next video and get ready to jam on some more Mary Had a Little